I suppose I come at this with a particular interest in that I was a school teacher and a school principal for over 20 years. So I think I have a passion for the field of education. Catholic education in Northern Ireland, which makes up about 45% of school provision. We are clearly a minority, if a very substantial one. We're facing some of the same challenges that are being faced by the entire education system. One of those is a drop in the number of children, particularly at post-primary level. It's being felt. And the resultant number of small schools that are increasingly becoming unsustainable. All schools have to respond to government policy which says that any post-primary school, 11 to 16, must have a minimum of 500 pupils, and all pupils must have access to a wide range of subjects from 14 through to 19. So along with the other school sectors, we're seeking to rationalise our provision. And that's a very painful thing, particularly for local communities which have always had a small school, even at post-primary level, and don't want to lose that. So there's a huge job, and we've been working on it for this past 5 years, of how do we, like the other sectors in Northern Ireland, respond to government policies and demographic downturns. The second major challenge that I think we have, specifically as Catholic education, is how do we ensure that we move from a situation where Catholic education was assumed to be education for Catholics to a situation where we're offering Catholic education to those from all faith backgrounds and none who actually want to avail of Catholic education. And how do we do that in an increasingly secular society where very many people judge the outcomes of education by the quality of exam results? How do we actually ensure that the Catholic worldview is transmitted in our schools and that RE is not just seen as a Catholic bolt-on to an otherwise comparatively successful secular education offer? So we're facing a whole range of challenges, and that's currently being managed by the Northern Ireland Commission for Catholic Education, who represent all the trustees of voluntary grammar schools, of maintained primary schools, maintained secondary schools, to try and ensure that the Catholic family of schools can focus at all the big questions and ensure that we get agreed ways forwards rather than leadership just dumping solutions on them from on high. It's been a difficult and interesting way forward, but I think we have contributed not just to trying to find ways forward for our own sector, but actually to broadening the palette of questions that are being asked by secular education as well, to ensure that we look after educating our young people and not just training them for a jobs market. It's a very important question because people have very often blamed Catholic education for being part of the problem in the North, or at least for maintaining the division within our community. I think we do come from a very divided society, but I think it's important to recognise that one of the key features of a modern, liberal, pluralist society is that difference is seen as enriching rather than merely as a problem. I think we're now finding that Catholic schools are becoming increasingly attractive to people, particularly churchgoers from within the Protestant community. And I think in 20 or 30 years' time, we'll find that the main division in education in Northern Ireland is between those who are looking for a faith-based education and those who prefer a secular education. In other words, from the Church's perspective, and I mean that in the plural, the Church is, the challenge is not so much, as someone said, religious difference, as religious indifference. And I can certainly see in my own workings with the Protestant churches, Catholic education being seen as the base on which all faith-based education into the future can actually develop. In other words, we can be a source of outreach, of collaboration, of cooperation, of mutual understanding between those who want a faith-based education for whatever reason, and be seen therefore as a positive contribution rather than being caricatured as the source of difference. I'm excited about the future of Catholic education in Northern Ireland and around Europe, where it remains very popular because of the quality of its pastoral care and academic outcomes. And I'm looking forward to see how can we find a Northern Ireland way forward that actually responds to economic necessities, new government policy, the challenges of secularism, but gives people who wish a faith perspective on life to be communicated to their children and to back up what the parents are doing, that they will continue to find faith-based education producing high quality outcomes for young people long into the 21st century.